Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to another ERLC video, and in today's video, I managed to get a little bit of a private interview with Shawn G, who of course is one of the senior developers, or the senior developer of ERLC. Of course, there's a lot of questions out there that wanted to be asked, so if yours was not covered in this video, I do apologize. I did try to ask some of the most burning questions that I've had, and some other people that have also been wanting some questions answered. So if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to thumbs up, subscribe if you guys are new. I want to say thank you to Florida State Roleplay. They had a private server open, which I used for background footage for today's video. So thank you to them for allowing me to record in their server and being super cool about it and all that kind of stuff too. It's uncut, so you'll be able to see all the footage of me saying hi to them all and all that kind of stuff too. So, yeah, feel free to enjoy today's video. I'll put some timestamps so that it goes to each question if you have a specific one you want answered. And yeah, thank you all for your time and enjoy today's video. So starting off easy, Mr. Shawn. When and why did you start working on ERLC?
It was December 7th, 2018, and as I'm sure you've heard, pretty much, short story, I knew Fergie through a group called State of Firestone, and we had a mutual friend, Lost Infinity, who hooked us up pretty much, and, Lost and I at the time, we were trying to revive a group that we got, but, we weren't succeeding, so he said, you know what, let's just move on. Here's a better game that we could have definitely improved, so we hopped on Liberty County and just went from there.
Oh, so ERLC was not even like a planned thing between the three of you.
Yeah, it was solely Mr. Fergie pretty much, and
wow.
Fergie brought on Lost I guess maybe a couple of months in, and then Lost brought me in.
All right, moving on to the next question. What has been your most amazing experience working alongside like Fergie and PRC?
The most amazing experience, I'd say, it was probably RDC 2019 when we all met up for the first time, since before that we all never met up before, and only like recently, like a couple of months before the event, we started did a face reveal amongst each other, in like a video call or something like that. So yeah, we were still relatively new to each other, and we hung out, walked around San Fran, and it was pretty fun.
So you had never actually met each other before ERLC, so you guys didn't know each other personally.
Correct.
You knew each other online, and you had never even seen each other's face at that point.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay. Is there anything in specific that you have wanted in game that just has not been added in?
There's a bunch of stuff, but the thing is, most of the stuff I want in game will come at some point or another. Right. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you have wanted that Fergie said no?
Well, a lot of things, yeah, but the thing is, he and I, we both can say no to something at one point, but then at a later point, we might say yes. So, like, say helicopters, for example, we always said no to that, but then look at us now.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. It's probably the perfect example. All right, so moving on to the next one, is there sort of relatively in line with the idea of adding things into the game, is there any sort of like major projects that you're working on for ERLC? I don't want to know what they are, but just out of curiosity, if there is anything major that you guys have been planning or working on.
Well, we definitely are always planning a lot of things, and I guess it's just up to each individual if they consider it major. Like, they are big, but say like for the summer update, in my opinion, I can't say it's as big as the summer update, but other people, they may say it is bigger. It's just, the summer update, we dropped a whole trailer for it, and the reason it was so big was because we went free. That's something we never thought we'd do. So I guess in terms of content, it definitely is at least on par, if not better, than the summer update. And it's a lot of the stuff that people have been requesting, and we've taken note of it. It's just, we had to properly plan stuff, so once it's in the game, nobody's complaining. It's just everyone's just having fun with it.
Right, that makes sense. Actually, I do have a question in terms of the actual game itself. I've noticed some people mentioning the fact that ERLC is starting to turn away from the fact of an emergency response game to more of a generic roleplay game. Do you have a response to that?
For that, I will say yes and no. Like, yes, we are including more civilian aspects because, as of say before the summer update, say before we introduce jobs, all the civilians would have to do is only commit crime. And while that is and was and still is fun, a lot of people, they kept telling us, hey, crime is fun and all, but I'd like to, do X, Y, and Z. I'd like to just be a normal civilian and have different role plays based off of that. So we want to incorporate, more of those civilian-based role plays while still adding, emergency response features. Like, at our core, we will always, I guess, prioritize the first responders, like, police and fire and DOT. Will prioritize that content in the game, but we're always going to keep in mind the civilian lifestyle.
Right, so it's not so much about disconnecting from the emergency response, it's more so about adding the features so that the civilians have...
Yeah, like, making it more enjoyable so that they're not just committing crime 24/7, and after, there's only so many robberies, it'll get a little bit repetitive.
And in relation to your updates, do you guys have an update schedule? Like, do you have like a set amount of updates you want to do each month, or like a set time period between each update?
Yeah, like generally, we've said this in the past several times. We aim to do an update bi-weekly, so every 14 days, 2 weeks or so. Sometimes we'll squeeze in an update between then, which might be a minor one, but say if we're working on a bigger update, like say for the summer update or any like big heavy content packed update, that might actually take a month to do, just because we had to... It's not so much that it takes a month to script, it's just making sure we have all the assets we need. So sometimes we may need to hire a new modeler just to make something, or say if we have a modeler that needs to take a leave of absence since he has family stuff going on, that we need to hire someone else at least temporarily to take his place. So it's just a lot of managing that to get all together.
Right, so it's not so much a case of the actual update takes a month to make, it's just a case of getting everything together to actually make the update.
Yeah, like generally, if we say if it was a perfect world and we had modelers and all these different contributors on deck at our beck and call, and they could get something done within a day, then we could probably get an update done with every single week. But I mean, me personally, I feel every 2 weeks is still a nice spacer, just because it gives the community enough time to enjoy the current update and then get excited for the next one.
Actually, about the updates, with the Halloween that just came out, Halloween update, or string of updates that just came out, the 4 parts, is that something you're intending on doing more frequently? Because I personally feel that brought up the hype for the updates, in my opinion. Like, I feel that a lot of people were a lot more excited for the updates when it was coming out in different parts. So like, you saw like the timetable of when they were coming out, like...
Yeah, so as for that, we're always like, trying different things, seeing how community feels about stuff. Like, I'm not sure if you remember, but at least when the game first came out, and maybe up until a year, maybe 2 years after the game was out, we never, said what was coming in an update. We always just wanted it to be a surprise. But then after, trial and error, seeing how other games did their work, we realized, people like teasers. So, and I guess that's where this part came out, where we released the update in 4 different parts. And a big reason for that was, if you think about it, I could tell you behind the scenes, we didn't have all 4 of those parts ready at once. Like, anytime you saw a part dropped, we literally just finished working on it, and now we're starting to work on the next one, because they were all spaced 4 days apart, I believe. So every 4 days we're just constantly working towards the next one. So we felt it was better, at least since Halloween is October 31st, that we at least do it in parts, so you could enjoy a little bit here, a little bit there, rather than wait until we finished. And say we finished everything, that would have been ideally the date that part 4 dropped, which was 2 days ago. Yeah. And that's obviously less time to enjoy all the content.
I think it's moving on from the actual oh, actually, Zoop has a good question here. Has your goal or plan for ERLC changed over time, and if so, how?
It definitely changed, I'd say, when people started playing the game more. Like, back in December 2018 when I joined, Fergie, had a plan for the group and the game, and that's why there were RCPD, LCSO, and RCFD groups. The plan was for every single team to be group locked, and it'd be like a truly roleplay community, like kind of like any of our sub communities that anyone can make. So we were originally only supposed to be a group game, but then we somehow got a lot of attention, I guess, from people just knowing us and knowing that we make decent work, so they decided to play the game. And since it kind of blew up, we were just like, all right, you know what? Let's slowly drop the group lock idea. So at the time, it was like, okay, only sheriff team is going to be group locked. So we started going with that idea, but then more people kept playing. So we were like, okay, no team is going to be group locked, and just went off of that.
Yeah, because I do remember I did a lot of research on the game a couple months ago, and I remember like way back a couple years ago that you guys were doing like legitimate training for each team, and I'm assuming that's when you had the group log sort of like idea in your head. Was that you were doing these trainings for specific teams, and I didn't know if that was just for a specific server, or if that was for the game as a whole, because it was relatively small back then.
Yeah, like
Um,
there was a point where we did when we first released private servers, which was literally at RDC 2019, because we worked on it then. We had the official private roleplay community where we send our mods in to moderate, and basically it's the official private server that everyone ideally would want to join. So, you know, that was our vision for it, and then those groups were going to be repurposed for that, and we had training for it and everything, but the idea didn't work out mainly because we couldn't staff it, you know, as much as we'd like to, because, you know, we assign our moderators to it, but now there's less people monitoring our discords and, you know, soon to become game moderators. So we decided, all right, you know what, cut it off, because there's so many sub communities that are already doing great, like SRP, you know, this NJRP, Hardline, Toronto, all these different groups. They already are doing well for themselves. So why not just let them have, you know, their spotlight, and we'll just keep creating more features to support them.
I actually just got a question in my DMs from one of my mods, and one of them asks, "How does the staff team balance their duties for the game and then their real jobs?" So, like, obviously, you've got some first responders on your team, I believe, right?
Yeah, we have some firefighters and paramedics.
So, how does the balance between their duties on ERLC and their real life sort of how does that play out?
Well, I can't speak so much on their behalf, but from what I've seen, that, you know, most of them, if not all of them, no, all of them except Lost Infinity, I believe, are in volunteer positions. So it's not like they're full time fighting a fire or whatever. So, you know, unless there's an active fire going on, chances are they're sitting around either working another job or working on the game. So, you know, anytime duty calls, obviously we understand we're not going to penalize them for not being active. If they had, like, say, a lot of paramedic calls or fire calls, obviously we're not going to penalize them because real life is more important. But
Yeah.
yeah, like that's, I guess, a sense of how they balance it.
Now this one can be touchy subject depending on who you're talking to. I've heard this one debated a lot by a lot of people. Um, you know, obviously with your release of the summer update, you guys reached a peak of I think almost 50,000 players at one point. Um, do you have any fear that like ERLC is dying from that point? Like in other words, do you have like a do you worry that like ERLC has already peaked with that update, or do you feel that it's still going to keep going?
My opinion is, well, generally, like, quick answer, no. Mainly because, you know, with the summer update, we already built up so much hype because we announced we were going free, and there were so many people that obviously didn't have access to the game who were like, oh, finally it's about to be free, so they came to check it out. And then, you know, they all stormed in at once. Basically, to rebuild that hype, in a sense, all we have to, you know, do is say, like, if you remember, for the, I think it was New Year's and Christmas last year where we had live events, we also hit peak records at that time too, just because we had a schedule like, hey, at this exact time something nice is going to happen, so everyone flooded the game at that time. So I believe, you know, if we were to have like another live event, for example, then we could easily hit that number, if not even more. And there's still a market that we have yet to dive into, which is the mobile market. You know, mobile players, a lot of kids these days, they have phones, or they use their parents' phones as a means to pass time. So we are looking, no promises, but we are looking into getting on the mobile platform. So say if we meet that goal, then, you know, that's even more players that can now play our game. So I do not feel like we've peaked at all.
Where do you think the point was that ERLC sort of like skyrocketed? Like if there was like an exact point of which you think ERLC became like a small game to being like a wildly successful game, what do you think that point was?
I'd have to say, um, it was close when we first introduced the fire team, because that a lot of people wanted that, and then another pivotal point, I guess, when we introduced the SWAT Game Pass, because a lot of people kept saying add SWAT, add SWAT, add SWAT. So I'd say those two updates were a lot of, like, they caught a lot of eyes, that a lot of content creators, they started looking at the game more like, hey, this isn't a bad game. And we started polishing the game more over time, because obviously when it first came out, it was nowhere near as polished as is today. So as we, kept making quality updates, quality of life and all of that, yeah, I'd say SWAT and Fire helped really boost our game.
I have a couple questions about you personally in terms of
Ooh.
things. Again, personal. What has been like the hardest hurdle for you in a personal matter while working on ERLC? Like, what's been like the hardest thing for you personally to overcome working on the game, if there's anything?
Personally, I would have to say juggling it with school, just because I am still a full-time college student. Lost Affinity, he just graduated, I think, a semester ago. Fergie's also a full-time college student, so we all do have busy lives as is already, especially around midterms week and finals week. Around those times, you will not see an update just because we're already hard studying. So
yeah,
I'd say balancing the two is hard, since sometimes you may have to prioritize the game. Like, yeah, class is important and all, and I'm not saying to any person don't go to class, but there have been times where, even recently, like for the Part 4 Halloween update, I did miss a class just so I could keep scripting and get it out, when promised. Since we did promise it that day, I had to keep scripting and keep testing and everything to get it out. So I was just like, you know what, I can't miss a class, it's fine. And yeah.
Yeah, screw class. Let's just work on the game.
Yeah, and like, there's also been times in the past where, I have failed a class or two in the past. It was either one or two, I truly can't remember. And I do believe in big part it's because I spent so much time working on the game, helping to, alongside, of course, all of our other contributors and developers, help build it up to what it is today. And yeah, it does suck that I had to repeat the credit, or do it over, or some assignments I bombed, and that did suck. But in my opinion, in the end, it's totally worth it, since the game is something we all love to do. It's definitely our passion, and it's our full-time job pretty much. So I feel, and at least for my application, like, since I'm majoring in computer science, I feel this is already working in the field. So I do prefer this experience over school any day. And obviously I still do school, but yeah, it's definitely worth it, sacrificing it sometimes just for the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe not the best decisions in the world, but I'm going to be honest with you here. More power to you. The game has clearly created a substantial platform for you and all of the other dev team. Not to mention the fact that if you're going into computer science, having this game that you've worked on as part of your portfolio is going to be immensely good. TZ asks, do you have any advice to any small developers that are looking to start out their game and look?
For small developers, I'd say honestly, just work hard, build hard, and don't focus on the money, because yeah, money is nice, profits are cool and all, but if that's your only focus at the start, then you're honestly bound to either fail, or if you do happen to succeed, it won't really be a good game. It'll just be one of those games that like a one-hit wonder, that it really is a bad game, but it still makes a lot of money. So like, in our case, our goal wasn't money. Our goal was create an authentic roleplay experience and actually even beat group lots. But the community helped change our goal to, hey, yeah, go public. So, but even while going public, we always retained the primary goal was to create an enjoyable experience that no other game has.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's some pretty good advice. Anyone who's listening who's wanting to make a game, take that advice, because that will get you far.
Yeah, definitely. And always make connections, because if I wasn't friends with Lost, I would not have gotten this job. So connections are definitely nice.
That's a good point, actually. That goes true for any sort of, like, I don't know if you can say this is like a business opportunity, or like any sort of like opportunity that you want to have. You need connections in any field you go into. Like, for example, YouTube has been nothing but connections for me for the past, several months. I've spoken to several huge people. Like, for example, when I started on ERLC, it was nothing but a dream to be able to talk to the devs, like let alone be able to interview one of them. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it's all about your connections and all about how you go about your actual like work, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And like I know other YouTubers definitely helped you out. Like I can't exactly remember which ones, but I'm sure it was either Ruffles or Ayo or any of the like they probably brought you onto their stream once in a while, right?
Yeah, like the thing is, the actual community around YouTubers is immensely giving and super rewarding in the fact that everyone who does ERLC, for example, like me, Ruffles, OMB, AOB, all those people, Amaze, Zany, Game Time with Kyle, all those people are they're all really friendly. All of them are like, yeah, if things are not great right now, you keep working, do this, do that. Some of them will give you ideas. Some of them will do collaborations with you, all that kind of stuff. It's all a super giving and rewarding community. It's honestly crazy. Moving on
And
from
like
that real quick. What
yeah.
has been the most rewarding thing about working on your site? Like, if there's anything that you could say, this has been the most rewarding thing for me, what would it be?
I definitely say making like truly making a good experience for other kids to enjoy. Like I'll read a lot of comments on videos or even see your like a wall post when we had the wall open or maybe a random chat in our Discord. Someone will say, yo, I really love this game. It helped me through bad times and all that. Just hearing that, that's definitely nice. And like even in real life when someone I know, they may say, hey, yo, my little cousin's playing Roblox and he's playing your game and I didn't even tell him about it. I'm just like, hey, that's honestly insane. And it's just the fact that they could truly enjoy it. It's like one of those games that'll be a part of their childhood or, great memory they have. Just knowing that is definitely nice and rewarding.
Actually, pretty heartwarming. So you're the thing you're like you could say like most rewarding thing is just the
Yeah, definitely. Like we always try to give back when we can. Like say for up and coming YouTubers, we'll always try and help bring their channel up. So like say for you, pretty much all the current ERLC YouTubers today, we helped. I mean, obviously you guys put in a great amount of work, but occasionally we'd help like maybe go on your stream or go on your YouTube channel so you could put on like OMG PRC owner is in the stream or something just so that can help boost your views. Or
Mhm.
like, maybe we'll ping an announcement like, hey, go check out this guy's channel, just so you can have a nice little community of your own as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's yeah, damn, you're like actually like being nice about this. Holy crap. I actually have a question relating to YouTubers, in terms of the game's success and YouTubers, as a combined factor. Um, do you believe that there's been a lot of success from the YouTuber side of things that have brought players to the game? For example, like in total, I think there's something like 1.7 million subscribers total, which is based around ERLC because you got Locus who has like 1.4 million or something like that. And there's Ruffles who's got 140,000, and there's OMB who's got almost 90, and there's me who's just hit 60, and there's AOB who's got like 15, 16. There's Game Time with Kyle who's got 30, Zany who's got God knows how many. Like all these people with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of subscribers who are playing, your game, things like that on their channel. Do you think that that's contributed to the success of the game?
Oh, 100%. Like, especially the early tubers, like, Locus. I don't think he actually covers ERLC much anymore. I think he actually took a break off of YouTube for a
Yeah,
while,
he's
but
he's not uploading currently.
yeah, but at least him in the early days, him, Matrix, like it's Matrix and other like YouTube content creators who have already had like an established community with a
Hmm.
million or so subscribers. Them like covering the game help 100% bring attention to the game where, a lot of the times we'd reach out to the YouTubers themselves, like we'd hit up Locus like, hey, do you want free cash? Do you want free XP so you could help create more content? Like you're already doing great work, just playing the game and you may not realize it, but you're bringing so much attention to us. So, we gotta pay you back a little bit, like help you make more content.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think my last question in terms of like actual listed questions is working on PRC something you're intending on doing for a really long time from now, or are you intending on pursuing something like outside of this? Because obviously you're going into like computer science. Is there like a field that you're intending on pursuing with that, or do you intend on working on PRC for a long time more?
Me personally, well, computer science, going to college where it made me hate it, honestly, that I could never do it in the real world. Like, I can't work at Google. Like, as a child, I always wanted to work at Google, but now I truly would hate it. Yeah. So I kind of changed it to going into law enforcement instead. So yeah, I already applied to like different local departments. I already took like written exams. I'm sure I'm just waiting for the results to come back, and then I'll have to go take the physical test. So I'm pretty much leaning more towards that. But as far as ERLC, I'll always, as long as the game is alive, I'll always do it on the side, no matter what. Like, say being a cop, at least in my area, it's only 8-hour days. So as soon as 8 hours are done, I go home. Enjoy life. If I have the family, then family life and all that. But I'll still always work on ERLC. And at that time, Fergie, I know he plans to 100% commit on this until it dies out as well, if it ever dies out. Like, I don't think he has something else he's aiming for. Like, I'm sure he has backup plans, but I'm pretty sure this is just it for now, which is 100% fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm sure. Say if I do get the police job or whatever, I'm sure he may hire another scripter to help with the load. But I'll always definitely do my best to always be in the background, at least working on stuff, helping bring great updates as always.
I mean, that's all the questions I have for you. I don't know if you have any more TZ that you would like to ask. If there's anything else, then let me know. Nope. All right. Okay. Well, that is all the questions I have for you today, Shawn. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time, and hope you have a good day.
You too. Appreciate it. See you later.
See you.
All right, so that is going to do it for this like sort of interview video thing. If you guys did enjoy and you got any questions answered that you maybe have been asking or whatever, Shawn. Any questions that you have been asking answered, then let me know in the comments section below. If you have any other questions, I might, if you have any other questions for him, something that you would like to see answered, put them in the comment section below. Shawn, are you? You just said ooh. Oh. So yeah, if you have any questions that you want answered, in your head that have not been answered just yet, go ahead, put them in the comment section below. I will DM him and see if he has the ability to answer any of them, and I will reply to your comment with what he said. So if you have any questions, just ask them below, and I will see if I can get to them. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Thank you to Shawn for the time, for spending the time with me to be able to actually get all of this. All these questions that have been in my noggin, asked and all that kind of stuff, and getting answers to all of them. And he was super in depth, which was really nice. So thank you, Shawn, for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I know this was a really long video. I appreciate your time. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you later.